Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. So today we're diving into something that literally affects all of our wallets, the Portuguese tax system and the E-Fatura portal. Now, I know, just the word taxes is enough to make anyone groan, right? It's so easy to look at E-Fatura as this super tedious, boring administrative chore that you just kind of have to slog through at the start of every year. But as we'll see today, it's actually an amazing financial tool. It literally transforms your everyday expenses into direct tax deductions. So stick around, because by the end of this, you'll see how mastering this system is basically just paying yourself.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. We're looking at the impact on your IRS, the fiscal calendar and key dates, a practical classification tutorial, specific rules for freelancers, some really costly mistakes, and finally, your annual checklist.
Let's kick things off with Part 1, the impact on your IRS, or how to transform your invoices into actual cash.
So, to really understand why this is about literal cash in your pocket, we need to briefly break down the three-step logic of the IRS. Correctly classifying your invoices isn't just about organizing data for the tax authority. No, it determines whether you get a nice refund check in the summer or if you end up owing the state money. Here's how it works. Step 1 is the monthly withholding. Your employer holds back a percentage of your salary and sends it to the state as an estimate. Easy enough? Then, Step 2 happens the following year. The AT calculates your actual tax owed based on your total income, your family situation, and your tax deductions. And, finally, Step 3 is the final adjustment. If they withheld too much, you get a refund. Didn't withhold enough, you pay. And listen, that final adjustment depends entirely on the deductions that you validate. Let's look at the real-world math behind this for a second. Imagine someone who spends 800 euros over the year on health expenses. You know, things like pharmacy visits, doctor appointments, that sort of thing. Because health expenses allow for a 15% deduction, that 800 euros translates into an automatic 120 euro reduction in their final tax bill. But there's a huge catch here. They only get that 120 euros if they actually log into the portal and classify those invoices. If those invoices are just left pending and unclassified, well, that 120 euros simply disappears. Poof, it's just gone from the equation entirely. That exact amount is deducted from your tax with a really simple click. Which means ignoring your pending invoices is literally abandoning money that you are legally entitled to. Seriously, it's essentially leaving a voluntary tip for the government bureaucracy, and nobody wants to do that. Now think of this next part as your personal treasure map. It shows you exactly where to hunt for the biggest tax breaks. Look at this. General family expenses give you 35% back up to a limit of 250 euros. Health, that gives you 15% up to a really impressive 1,000 euros. Education is 30% up to 800 euros. Rent gives you 15% up to 700 euros. And nursing homes offer a 25% deduction up to 403 euros and 75 cents. Knowing these percentages is absolutely crucial because it helps you understand the true value of always asking for that invoice with your NIF, your tax identification number. All right, moving on to Part 2, the fiscal calendar, and the key dates you need to know, because the clock is definitely ticking. I really need to emphasize this warning. The fiscal calendar repeats every single year with the exact same structure. If you miss these dates, your deductions are just lost forever. No going back. So in January and February, your sole job is to validate and classify all your pending invoices from the previous year, and also update your household status. Then comes March. This is when you check the AT's calculations to see if they missed anything, file any complaints if you need to, and you can also choose to consign 1% of your tax to a charity. After that, from April 1st to June 30th, you deliver your annual tax return, the Modelo 3. And finally, in July and August, the magic happens. You either receive your note of liquidation to pay, or, much better yet, you get your refund.
Next up, Part 3, a practical classification tutorial to show you the digital path.
I know navigating a government digital portal can totally feel like a bureaucratic maze, but it's actually incredibly simple once you know the exact path. First, you just access the finance portal and authenticate using your NIF and your password, or your digital mobile key. Second, you navigate straight into the consumer section. And third, you click on Complement Invoice Data. And that's it. You've found your pending invoices. This really simple three-step recipe takes you straight to the dashboard where your money is just waiting to be claimed.
Once you're in there, you need to manually verify and assign each pending invoice to one of these specific activity sectors. We're talking health, education and training, housing, nursing homes, general family expenses, or those special sectors with a VAT benefit, like restaurants, hair salons, or mechanics. And listen to me on this one. Do not just blindly trust the automatic system. For example, a pharmacy might be registered under some generic code. If you don't manually go in and assign it to health, it'll just drop into general expenses and you'll completely miss out on that much higher deduction limit.
Let's look at Part 4 now. Specific rules for independent workers, the Category B folks. Okay, if you're self-employed, I am speaking directly to you right now. Independent workers face an extra layer of responsibility when classifying expenses, and it's absolutely vital for calculating your specific tax rate. As a Category B worker, every single invoice you have must be strictly divided into one of 3 distinct buckets. First, personal. That's for your private use only. Second, professional, which is exclusively related to your business activity. And third, mixed. This is for things you use for both, meaning they're only partially deductible. You really want to be incredibly diligent here because getting this wrong can cause massive headaches down the road.
Which brings us to Part 5, costly mistakes, basically what you absolutely need to avoid.
Please consider this a firm but very friendly warning. These are the most common oversights that will literally drain cash from your potential refund, and they are 100% avoidable. If you leave invoices unclassified past February, they don't count. If you forget to update your household, say you had a baby or got married, by February, the AT just uses last year's data. If you don't ask for an invoice with your NIF, the expense simply doesn't exist to the tax authority, period. It cannot be recovered. Blindly trusting the automatic categorization, that's going to cost you higher deductions. Missing the March window to complain means you're accepting their math, even if it's dead wrong. And waiting for the very last day to deliver your IRS usually means you'll be waiting until the very last day to get your refund.
All right, finally, Part 6, your annual checklist, which is basically your financial protective shield. To make sure you never fall into any of those traps, let's consolidate everything we've talked about today into some real, actionable habits. Think of this as your master routine. Always ask for an invoice with your NIF 365 days a year. Check E-Fatura monthly or at least quarterly just so it doesn't pile up on you. Classify all your pending invoices in January and February. Confirm your household status on time. Claim values and consign your IRS in March. Deliver that declaration from April to June. And lastly, keep your receipts, physical or digital, for 4 years, because that's the legal window they have to ask for them. If you turn this list into a routine, I guarantee you'll maximize the return on your taxes.
We've covered a lot of ground today in this explainer, but really, it all comes down to action. So I'm going to leave you with this final provocative question. How many pending invoices are stealing your refund right now? Seriously, think about it. You've got the knowledge now, you have the roadmap. Go log into that portal, take 5 minutes to classify those expenses, and take back the money you're legally owed. Thanks so much for joining me today, and happy classifying.